This is easily going to be my least favorite episode. Topic-wise, cigar-wise.
Yep.
It's going to be a rough one. It's going to be a rough one.
And it's my first smoke of the day, which upsets me some.
It's like waking up next to a fat chick.
Welcome to Los Jerkos. I'm Nate.
I'm Travis. And today will be your least favorite episode.
Maybe.
Maybe. You never know. You never fucking know. Today, it can't always be funny and comedy and like happy and whatever. Sometimes we gotta have a miserable fucking episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as miserable for us as it is for you.
Yeah. But don't turn this off.
No,
you have to listen.
No, yeah, listen to it. It's interesting.
You must be subjected to this.
Yeah, we had to. You have to as well. We're smoking Perdomos today.
Perdomo.
I'm smoking the aged 12-year in Bourbon Barrel, Connecticut.
And I'm smoking the 10th anniversary champagne.
And right off the rip, it's been a long time. I actively, if anyone knows me, I'm not Perdomo's number one fan. So right off the rip, though, it is what it is. I can't complain with it. You know, if I didn't have, a palate, I would probably like this. But
yeah.
Supposedly this is a real cigar. We're going to figure it out.
This is what a real cigar is.
This is what a real cigar is. That is a quote from Nick Perdomo.
The hilarious thing about these champagnes is they're meant to look aged. They have a yellow cello to try to convey age.
Is that what it is?
I'm pretty sure.
I've always wondered if that was what they were going for, and I was like, no one could possibly be like that. No, never mind. Maybe if that is true, Nick Perdomo is like that.
Yeah.
What can I say about it? It's a really just plain everyman cigar. You can find it at every liquor store, every cigar lounge. It's gas station. It's not like a elite kind of object. Although he believes it is.
Oh yeah, according to Nick, it's elite. Before we get to that, though, was there any news we wanted to mention or anything like that?
There was that news that you wanted to break that I don't think has been brought up by any U.S.
Not that I know of.
So far, not yet.
And I'm not... I can't front like I actually did a fuck ton of information on this. I just seen an article.
It's something to be aware of. We don't know what the facts or we don't know what's details. Right and wrong, but it was interesting.
But I saw a guy post an article, a Nicaraguan article, which I've been reading a lot of them lately. But basically, the president, right, of Nicaragua, or something's going on over there in Nicaragua where supposedly Hoya had neglected to pay some taxes. They failed a tax audit for, I think, the years of 2021, 22 or something like that.
Yeah.
And the government is, I believe they're requesting they pay like $15 million or they're going to seize Hoya's assets.
Minor detail about the government. He's a tyrant.
Yeah.
So, it's not like a regular government.
I really like to do more research because, I've heard about long-time turmoil in Nicaragua and everything, but I've never actually dug deep into their politics.
Usually when an entire country of people are like, God, this guy's an asshole, I'm just going to take their word for it. So, Venezuela, I've heard you. Yeah, he's a dickhead. Nicaragua, I'm gonna take your side, You know how I am, being an anarchist, and just, if he isn't a tyrant, then he's doing a shit job as a president. So, I should probably behead him. But
I agree. Should behead a lot of motherfuckers. But didn't you read though that Hoya totally denies that any of these claims are actually taking place?
Hoya denied any of this. naturally, you'd kind of be an idiot if you just were like, you caught us. As an entire company, they denied it. I mean, so you're dealing with, maybe this is why it's not in the U.S. like news or the cigar world yet, because it's one of those he said, she said kind of things. One side's like, no, you fucked up, whatever. But he has a notorious streak for, coming in and being a fucking dickhead. And then you have Hoya, who, I mean, they work out of Drew Estate's factory and shit like that. Mm-hmm. You think fucking Drew Estate and Swisher and whatever is going to be like, oh, well, you probably should pay your fucking taxes.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're separate entities, but you would think they would kind of watch each other's backs in that sense.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So it's like, which side do you believe? I just thought it was very interesting that...
Or is this some type of corporate greed means for fucking Swisher to totally just buy out?
Yeah, I mean, that could also be a thing.
Something going on behind the scenes.
What'll be interesting about it is you'll be able, if this does come to a head, you'll be able to see just how serious Swisher is taking being a cigar company. Mm-hmm. Because, like, think about Swisher took over Drew Estate, and they're introducing a lot more flavored stuff. Mm-hmm. So, if Hoya gets in trouble, does Swisher care enough to bail him out? Or does Swisher go, okay. They keep kicking, like, Willie Herrera's stuff out. The Herrera Steli Miami.
Yep.
The Norteño, or was it the Norteño?
Yeah, the Norteño's gone.
Yeah, it was the Norteño. So it's like they keep using the excuse we're trying to thin out our catalog to bring new stuff in. It seems like all the stuff they're thinning out is non-flavored stuff. And they say it's so they can bring in new product, which is turning into flavored stuff. They're bringing in the Dominicana was the most recent. And that, it's not fully flavored, but sugar capped. So it'll be interesting to see how this Hoya thing plays out, because will it come to a point where Hoya just goes, we're thinning out our catalog. You're on your own, dog. So you never know. It'll be interesting to see. I thought it was an interesting little heads up, I guess. It hasn't broken on the U.S. news. We don't know, like, facts. We only know what the hearsay is. I think it just was interesting because when was the last time we heard of something like this? I mean, the Cuban government.
Yep.
Which
I really hope that the tensions in Nicaragua don't continue to rise, because, I mean, if there ends up some type of fucking embargo on Nicaragua, man, I'll really start fucking throwing a fit here in the States and pushing to get the United States to grow more tobacco and totally loosen regulations and everything.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it multiple times before. Nicaragua is, I mean, without Nicaragua, the cigar world is a little rough. Yeah. You know, I mean, you still have your, Davidoff and Fuente and whatever, but you're losing, like, some serious shit.
Some
Padron,
really good shit. Plasencia,
Hoya de Nicaragua, I think, is underrated as fuck. I love their cigars. And
Perdomo.
Then, unfortunately, Perdomo would be a tragic loss. Well, no, technically he's out of Florida, so he'll find a different way to do it, I guess. Who knows? So as you can tell, we're extremely enthusiastic about the topic for today, which is a deep dive. I don't know how deep I really want to go into this. With Perdomo. Kind of just, we had brought this up and we had talked about origin stories that were really fucking interesting. And you and I both agreed, even though we're not, like, huge fans of the brand and of, the guy, it's an origin story that's kind of fucking punk, It's legit.
It's cool. I don't smoke Perdomo. I don't really enjoy Perdomo.
But you got to give him credit.
I got to give him credit. And then even back when I first started smoking, or I should not, I was still smoking, but when I really actually started to look into brands and try to understand, I would watch some videos from Nick Perdomo explaining his brands. And I mean, watching the guy, he's very knowledgeable. He is very knowledgeable. He knows his shit. And watching him, he'll make you want to smoke some of his cigars. The only problem is when you smoke some of his cigars compared to other cigars that are out there.
That's not the only problem though. One of the biggest fucking problems. This is not going to be a gripe episode. One of the biggest fucking problems is the dude has an ego the size of fuck knows what,
Yep.
and it's for a product that you can get at a fucking gas station. Your ego, you can be the most informative piece of shit in the world, but the way you portray yourself as a human is fucking trash.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, okay, cool. And I know people aren't buying cigars because of personalities.
I agree with you to an extent, because if the rap world has showed us anything, fucking ego can be a money maker.
And, yeah, I mean, we see it. Sanspry.
Yeah.
We see that being...
Oh, and that guy, I loved him. What was his name? Jesus.
The one that smoked with us, or the...
No, the original owner.
Sod, is it? Sod?
No. I forget his name. I'll have to look it up. But that guy was wacky, and he had a really big ego. But I liked it. I thought it was funny how pretentious he was.
But it was a justified. For, like, if I remember the story, the whole concept was he went in with starting out at, upper 30s, 40s cigar, and he said, it's like being around wolves. You have to be pretentious. You have to be super fucking cocky and confident in your product, because everyone else around you is going, who the fuck are you? It makes you think you can start throwing, $40 cigars. So he was cocky and he was confident about his product because he had to be. If he wasn't, they were going to eat him fucking alive. So like his was like, I guess, justified. It's not gonna be, the fucking roast of Nick Perdomo, but like his ego kind of is justified when you hear his backstory, which we'll get to. It is something to be proud of, like, to create what he created. I think it's just this. You don't want royalty to constantly remind you they're fucking royalty. You know what I mean? Especially when the only reason they're royalty is because they're one of the most well-known. Does Davidoff walk around and go, I'm Zeno Davidoff, I'm cigar royalty? He doesn't.
No.
Hanky Kellner doesn't. Eladio Diaz doesn't.
When you watch their stuff, that I rarely hear them say anything pretentious.
Yeah. And I've heard stories of Nick Perdomo during Perdomo tours. I was told a story about someone, or two people told me that when they're on tour throughout the factory, he'll sit there and shit on other companies, and he'll mention their fucking names.
Yep.
And I like,
which part of me is okay with. Like, I'm a little okay with shit talk. You know what I mean? I dig it. I think it's funny at a point, but
yeah.
your fucking brand has to back it up.
No, I agree, and I mean, but like, there's two different ways to do it. You can do it without bringing up the name. You can allude to what it is. Yeah. I mean, we've shit talked things before without fucking giving names.
True.
Not targeting. Mm-hmm. I read a fucking background on the guy from Foundation. He didn't mention Drew Estate whatsoever. He didn't mention Steve Sacco whatsoever in the bio, but he alluded to it. You knew what he was talking about without fucking painting a target.
If you knew the story, if you know the inner details, then you know what he's talking about.
Well, yeah.
And Nick's not very shy.
No,
he'll just straight up say the shit.
I dig someone who's blunt, but like, fuck's sake, dog. I'm blunt. I get it. Mm-hmm. But it's like, come on, you're literally. I mean, it's this. I guess I'm gonna get into this fucking story. I got to meet the dude. First fucking impressions are huge for me, being from New York and shit. Like, I may not fully know you, but I think I know you after a first impression. I know if you're a fucking good hang or if you're a shithead. Dude comes in, doesn't acknowledge any of the fucking workers at the lounge. Acknowledges the owner, doesn't introduce himself. You would think, like, hey, these dudes have been selling my cigars, whatever. I'm going to go shake their hand. I'm going to go introduce myself. Not a goddamn fucking word. I was a ghost. Then he goes and he sits in a chair, and I have to take the initiative to walk up to this guy. And, I mean, the event was anything short of rolling. We didn't have a red carpet to roll out. But this dude comes in wearing his 3-piece suit and fucking royalty, and he goes and he sits down, and I walk over, and I'm like, oh, hey, I'm Travis, I work here, whatever. And he just puts his hand out, sloppily puts his hand out. I shake his hand, he's like, oh, hey. No standing up, no like, oh, hey, nice to see you, thanks for, like, what the fuck, dog?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not a gas station worker. I don't work at a fucking liquor store. I'm literally in a fucking cigar lounge selling your goddamn shit. Unfortunately, I spent the first 2 goddamn weeks before the event smoking every single cigar in your fucking lineup to try to find a goddamn cigar.
Oof.
To at least have some fucking points of conversation. Hey, I really like this cigar. I really like what you did with this. I tried my damnedest. And then you don't even fucking say hi to me. The fuck? Fuck you, man. And I've said this in past episodes. Maybe you just had a bad day. I get it. Fame sucks. Look at us. We're famous. We fucking hate it. But it's like, yeah, maybe I caught him on a bad day. I've talked with him on the phone. Granted, it was all like a business kind of talk. He seemed nice over the phone, but it was things like that. And then like we had an older guy working for us who, he's dead now, but like he was one of those workers that would like every now and then get up and do something just to seem like he was doing something, but he would spend the entire rest of the time not helping, not doing work. If a pretty lady walked in, he would be literally, I've never seen this man, 70, 80 years old, get up so fast in my fucking life. Mad sprint to the register. So during this event, he gets up and he goes over to ring up a customer because everyone else was busy. It wasn't because he wanted to. It was because everyone else was busy. I finished up with what I was doing, and I went over to pour the beers that he was ringing up, and fucking Nick Perdomo goes over to him and goes, "Man, I love seeing you, working here." Blurp that out. And he goes, it's a damn shame that these younger generations just don't know how to work. And I'm literally fucking standing next to him. And I'm like, is this fucking real right now? You're a fucking shitbag.
That's funny.
And it's like, so was it a bad day?
He's got his son working for him. So
that's what I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it's just, and so that's my fucking story. I know I didn't touch on it last time it was brought up. That's the fucking story. He really his first impression was really fucking shit. So from there then on, I was like, I'm not smoking any of your shit. Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And here we are, smoking fucking Perdomo cigars. I will give him credit. It's okay. It's okay. It's an okay cigar.
Yeah, what I'm smoking is just okay.
It's great for degenerates and, rednecks and gas station workers.
When I go to smoke, I'm not looking for just okay. At the lounge, I've had some customers ask me what my genuine opinion is of Perdomo.
Yeah.
Which automatically makes me think they have an opinion that might be similar to mine. But because I'm working at a lounge, I try to tiptoe around it. And I tell them, they're a great smoke, great price point, excellent construction overall. And they're a great smoke for golf outings, for woodworking if you're working with your hands. They're a great smoke for when you're occupied with something else.
If you're a war veteran that got your tongue cut out so you didn't talk.
But what I really would like to say, there's way better things I can smoke than a fucking Perdomo, even if I'm woodworking or golfing.
Yeah.
There's way better cigars from other companies that I'd rather be fucking smoking. Like, because we smoke Perdomos a lot when we're working and real busy.
We?
Yeah,
I don't.
You know? Well, John does.
John
smokes a fuck ton.
I'm good.
And John will give me Perdomos from time to time. I never buy them on my own. So, like, a lot of the Perdomos I do smoke during work are given to me.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm given them, I'll smoke them.
Yeah, so, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We'll smoke them at work while we're working. Even then, though, while I'm working, man, I want my cigar. Perdomo doesn't do this for me. ever. I've smoked quite a few Perdomos. But even if I'm working and really busy, I'd like for my cigar to pull me out of my work for even just for a moment and make me go, wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that puff off that was fucking amazing.
And there are some people that's not what they don't want to smoke like the fancy shit. They want to smoke the thing that they don't have to think about. You and I are on the same page. We're like, I would much rather puff on a really nice stick. So at the end of the day, like, I can understand a work stick if you are working a job that is requiring you not to be focused on it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't work that job, so it's not really a work smoke. We have time to sit, and we have time to really think about a cigar.
Yep.
So I'm on your page. I would much rather fucking smoke.
Or when I was doing construction, which is way easier to smoke a fucking cigarette, but, I'd still enjoy smoking a cigar while I'm working if I was doing something where I could have a thinner cigar just hanging out of my mouth. Yeah. Even doing construction, I'd still want my cigar to be just even for a moment. I don't want it like, fuck, I need to sit down and smoke this, but I do want like, wow, that was a good puff.
Yeah.
Every so often that would be nice. This champagne, it's not terrible, dude. I'm not. No, I've smoked like really shitty cigars, and this ain't terrible. But this is just not. It's just not hitting any buttons for me.
And you and I picked both Connecticut's.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit, I will give credit where credit's due. Out of the lineup, every single one of the Connecticut's is a decent, it's a decent cigar. And I think the Maduro and the Sun-Grown kind of miss the mark because you're expecting something on a certain level, and you're not getting a lot of it.
Yeah.
Whereas the Connecticut, I'm not. I think it's a mental thing. I'm not expecting much from a Connecticut, but it's hitting way above my expectations.
Yes, which is kind of funny. The article I was reading when Perdomo first started, Dominican tobacco and Connecticut's were very popular, and he was using Ecuadorian Sumatra a lot and fillers from other regions than the Dominican. So he was trying to prize himself on being bolder smokes and everything like that. But for him to have a decent Connecticut's over his what should be bolder cigars is he did not achieve what he set out for. He achieved a lot. I'm not saying man, there's no way I can sit here in front like Perdomo hasn't achieved shit.
Yeah, we literally have a half-bit podcast.
Huh?
We literally have a half-bit podcast.
Yeah, and we're sitting here talking about the guy.
Yeah.
Which says a lot. The funny thing is, though, too, it sounds like since the beginning, so a lot of his darker cigars are very oily. And from the beginning, other brands have accused him of painting the wrapper to achieve that oiliness and that darkness. And was it a Perdomo? We had somebody in the lounge smoking, and they were like, hey, have you ever seen this before? And they showed us their fingers, and there was residue on their fingers, like a black residue on their fingers while smoking their cigar.
Really? Shit.
Yeah. And I've seen that a few times from different companies, different cigars. But I can't remember if that was a Perdomo or not. But,
I don't know. That's weird.
Mm-hmm. Well, people do that shit, man. Cut corners.
Yeah.
And I suspect that... Yeah. I suspect that Perdomo cuts some corners. But Nick Perdomo is a smart guy and a bit of a rat, where his cutting corners is actually a new standard he's setting. You know what I'm saying? Where he'll turn a corner cut into this could be a standard business practice, and explain it away as such.
We talked about the temperature change, the humidity changing room to kind of hyper ferment at a faster rate, which is one of the things I think he does. But it's not necessarily it is cutting corner, but it's not necessarily for a bad reason, because he's pumping out a fuck ton of product. And I mean, people are buying them. There are Perdomo fanboys. And to make yourself available at every liquor store, like I said, I've seen them at gas stations before. Every cigar lounge carries at least, a lineup. I mean, that's a lot of demand. So I'm imagining, yeah, it was a corner cut, but he took it in the sense of like, I need to find a better way to do this. And if it cuts a corner, it's a corner that has more reward than risk. So I'm just going to fucking do it. So, yeah. I mean, like, kudos to him. He's not an idiot.
Let's give something the fanboys of Perdomo, because I'm sure guys listening to this, there's probably a few guys out of the 23 or whatever we have that actually do appreciate Perdomo a lot. So let's maybe give something the Perdomo fans would appreciate. I know you read quite a bit on the Perdomo history,
the
origin and everything. Let's get into that.
This is the best villain story ever. This is why he's the Lex Luthor of cigars. So, first and foremost, they started in Cuba. The whole family, father, grandfather, whatever. The father and the grandfather, Silvio Perdomo, they had apprenticed in the cigar industry. I think Silvio started with H. Upman and then went to Partagas. Mm-hmm. And then Nick Sr. started at Partagas with Silvio and went to H. Upman. So they kind of flip-flopped things. But they started out doing apprenticeships, then they worked for those companies. That was way back, it was like the 50s, 40s and 50s.
Yep.
So the Cuban Revolution, it had to have been the 50s. Cuban Revolution in 1959, Silvio, Grandpa, was arrested by revolutionaries and imprisoned, where he was held for 3 years. He was then transferred to a different location in Cuba, and he spent the next 12 years at that prison. So when he finally got out, he leaves and goes to the United States in 1974. Nick Sr. was also a part of this whole revolutionaries kind of thing. They were anti-communist. I believe they were fighting for Batista. Mm-hmm. He used to visit their cigar factories all the time. That's how he kind of got affiliated with them. He didn't smoke cigars, but he would just visit, I guess. He was interested in cigars, never smoked them, but they developed a relationship through those visits. And Nick Sr. fought as a guerrilla fighter against the communist forces during the revolution. So Grandpa's in prison, son is a guerrilla fighter, and he ends up being shot twice. To avoid being executed, was ushered out of the hospital. So he gets shot, goes to the hospital, and they just fucking say, hey, they're literally talking about executing you, and they fucking just sneak him out of the hospital. Mm-hmm. He emigrates to the United States from the Uruguayan embassy and goes to Maryland, I believe, or Washington. He settles near Washington, D.C., and just works as a fucking janitor. Just kind of lays low for a bit. They decide at some point in time that they want to relocate. From there, they go down to Miami. Grandpa and Nick Sr. are done with the industry. They don't want anything to do with it. And Nick Perdomo goes into the Navy, kind of stays in the Navy for a while, and then works at the Miami International Airport after he gets out. And the entire time he's just kind of thinking about, man, I want to get back in the cigar industry, you know. Mm-hmm. I believe his dad. I don't think it was his grandfather. I believe his dad was telling him, "Don't get into it. It's not worth it."
Yep.
And
the family left it behind. You should continue to leave it behind.
Like, this isn't you now. We've done that. This isn't you. Like, make a life in America. Live the American dream. That kind of thing.
But he did that. Granted, he did that in one way his father didn't want, but another way is, that America offers.
He ended up still working as a traffic controller in the Miami International Airport, and then at nighttime he would run his cigar startup out of his garage in Miami against his father's suggestions.
Yeah, so what I read actually was, I think he started a later shift when Nick was doing his own company out of his garage. Maybe he moved into a small building at this point. But what I read was the dude was getting up at fucking early in the morning, starting to roll his smokes and oversee everything, a lot, working with his wife and other members of the family. 6:30 in the morning, worked till about 3:25. He must have lived 5 minutes from the airport he worked at. Go there at 3:30, work from 3:30 to 11:30, sleep, get up, do it again.
Yeah.
And the dude, I mean, and I believe it. Hustle,
I mean,
hustle,
he's a G. I will, like, I'm not gonna sit here, like, I'll shit on his, I'll shit on, like,
Personality
his personality
traits
traits and whatnot. But,
Yeah.
like, when you hear things like this, when you hear this story, you go, well, fuck. I know people who have these fucking personality traits that did dog shit nothing.
Yep.
I see those people every fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
So for him, like, I get it. You got a bit of you're a little confident. Got an ego. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say you don't deserve it.
Yeah, that's so, earlier when I'm like, that's kind of shit I don't mind because, man, it ain't bragging if you can do it. You know what I mean? But again, your smokes, I'm not that super impressed by your fucking smokes, man.
And so here's the thing is, I don't know if have you smoked the 30 year?
Not yet, no.
So
not yet. Probably not ever.
Probably not ever.
Unless somebody gives me one.
I'm not gonna lie. The 30 year is really good. I was impressed. So the reason we do the blind taste test, you take the band off so you don't have expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I see Perdomo automatically in my head. I'm going, fuck.
Yep.
And then I smoked the 30 year, and I was like, you know what? This isn't half bad, but it's not a high end smoking experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that runs what, 16, 17?
Yeah, it's close to the price of like the Black Diamond.
Yeah,
from J.C. Newman.
But it's like,
I haven't smoked the 30, but could it be any as good as the Black Diamond?
No. And I think that's what my issue is, and I've told you this already, where it's like, I think the 30 should have been the starting point. What the 30 is, how good that is as a cigar, should have been that $11, $12, $13 cigar. You know what I mean? I think the 10 year, the 20 year are significantly less than the 30. I think the 30 should have been the 10 year. Mm-hmm. And then you just vault up higher from that. I feel like the 30 should have been the starting point for the core line of his cigars.
Does Nick Perdomo grow his own tobacco now?
I think he does.
He does grow his own now.
If I'm not mistaken, when I talked to the rep, he is very much like Hochi Blanco in that he owns his entire operation. He has a box making factory. He makes his boxes. He doesn't.
He grows his own tobacco now too.
Which is also the reason why we, like with Hochi Blanco, everyone's like, man, why are these so inexpensive? Mm-hmm. Well, Hochi Blanco kind of started backwards. He gathered all of his resources and then put out a cigar, and his cigar is extremely inexpensive because he doesn't have to outsource anything. Whereas Nick did it the normal way, I guess, is the quote-unquote normal way, where he started making cigars, and then he accumulated all the extra stuff. Now I got a field. Now I got box makers.
Yep. Originally, from what I read in that one article, is that he was utilizing tobacco from a family called the Perez family. They had, I think it was ASP Industrial Inc. or something like that. But he was outsourcing his tobacco back then.
Yeah.
And
he has a whole operation. No, I mean...
I got to smoke a Perdomo from, it was like 2006, 2007. And I smoked this 2023. And that cigar was actually pretty fucking dope.
Well, here's another thing to think about. You and I are very big on talking about whether a cigar has opportunity or has potential to get better with age. Mm. I don't know anyone that has done this because I don't know a lot of people that are fans. But do you think these would age well? Do you think if we sat on these for Couple years, 3 years, 4 years.
Fuck, maybe more like even 6 to 8 years.
Because like the Maduro, when you smoke the Maduro, I don't know how long it's been since you had the Maduro. The Maduro now, like fresh out of a box, it just lacks that pop of flavor.
And it could be that it needs to just sit and percolate a little bit.
But like the flavor,
I think there's
is
potential there.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's now, I'm assuming, I don't know exactly when Perdomo got his own tobacco fields, but assuming that he was still outsourcing the tobacco back then, it was a very good smoke, man. And
yeah.
I mean, I've heard from guys that smoked Perdomos back when Perdomo was 90s, 2000s, early 2000s. They swear that Perdomo was the shit. Fantastic smokes.
Yeah, I mean, so like you're talking about the 1990s, he ends up going international in the 1990s. Mm-hmm. So he starts out from his garage, hires 3 rollers. So he just has like 3 randoms just in his garage rolling cigars. Mm-hmm. And this has now turned into a whole family undertaking. Once he started getting pretty successful, he employed family members, his whole family.
I'm going to try to rationalize this right now with you saying that. So part of Perdomo's thing is that he uses a draw tester for his rollers. As somebody who's maybe the reason, like, because Davidoff don't use draw testers. They have guys that have been rolling for 10 years and know their shit.
Yeah.
So maybe from Perdomo's business perspective, he started out with random people that haven't rolled cigars and got them rolling. And probably the cheapest way and quickest way throughout his career was just getting random people and throwing them to the wolves to roll. So maybe that starting point of just having 3 random people, rolling is why he continues to do business that way and has a need for a draw tester and stuff like that. Is that he's using random people to roll. He can pick up anybody from anywhere and just let them start rolling, but he's got the equipment to make sure that roll will pass the snuff test for the consumer. So,
I mean, maybe.
I'm just trying to think of like justifying the draw test and shit like that, because I think that's fucking.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna put a time span on. So 1992, I want to say, is when he started doing his business based out of his garage. He hires 3 rollers, and then him and his wife do the packaging. Mm-hmm. So 1992. He continues working as an air traffic controller and in the evenings working on a cigar company. So 1997, he reached the limits of production at his small Miami facility. So between 1992 and 1997, he had grown in his first year, he sold just 9,400 cigars, which is huge out of a fucking garage. Mm-hmm. I don't know how big garages are in Miami, but I lived in Orlando. There's not many, and they're not big. They didn't sell many cigars, but between 1992, after that first year, it fucking boomed, because in 1997, he was already leaving a small Miami facility, not his garage.
Yep.
So in between that time, he gets a facility in Miami, and he booms so much that he ends up expanding his production internationally.
Yep.
And Nick Sr. comes out of retirement in 1997 to help with the production facility in Nicaragua.
Yep. Look, man, Nick Perdomo, he's a smart dude. I like the fucking guy. Every time I listen to him talk, I hear stories where it's like, man, fuck that guy. But when I hear, like, I look into him more, or I hear some stuff talking about himself, there's a lot of likable shit about the guy. One thing I thought was cool that helped him get those sales was his idea for doing cold calls. He gives one reason that I read, but there's 2 reasons to do this. But when he was doing cold calls to retailers in the United States to sell his cigars, he would only call, he made a list and only called cigar lounges that were Davidoff retailers. So He would only call those. His reasoning for only cold calling the lounges that sold Davidoff was because he was like, they're for sure paying their bills. So one, he knew he needed
Is that
to
why
be
he
able
shits on Davidoff so much?
maybe, I don't know. I don't know. But that was fucking smart. And not only that, but you're pushing your stuff into a lounge that has typically would have higher end clientele.
Yeah.
So you're getting people that smoke a better caliber of cigar to use word of mouth for your brand. Fantastic idea. Fantastic to think that, yeah, I need to make sure I get fucking paid. And if you are a Davidoff retailer, you're fucking paying your bills. So just fucking dope.
And we're talking about a time period where there's no internet or
There's
like
no
really
internet,
shit
man.
internet in the late 90s.
And I tell you, I really admire the hustle of just straight cold calling your fucking self.
Oh, yeah.
When I started my contracting business back in the day, I made just cold calls to fucking companies galore. Like, listen, I do cleaning, caulking, tuck pointing. I can do graffiti removal.
You're real
blah,
good
blah,
at
blah.
laying pipe.
Yeah, I'm real good at caulking.
Caulking and piping.
Fucking just the grind of straight up calling people.
The grind in general, not even just calling people, the whole grind.
The whole grind, yeah.
You're running
fucking,
the whole entire operation without fucking internet. So
Yep.
using telephones and pagers. You're working out of your fucking garage. Fun fact, garages in Florida, not air conditioned. So you're working out of a hot ass fucking garage. You're working at an airport during the day, and you have the devotion and passion to go home and not go, man, it was a long day, blah, 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 I'm going to rest. You get into your hot-ass fucking garage and start fucking slinging cigars.
Yeah.
I can't shit on that.
No.
This is why we wanted to do this story, is because it's literally... I'm not discrediting. I'm sure a lot of these companies, when we do deep dives on them,
They're going to be that hustle, but...
really dope hustle, but like to come from where you came from, basically, enemies of the state, you move to the United States and you literally start at zero.
Yep, back to zero.
And so...
Because his dad, it sounds like his dad wasn't peeling off any knowledge to him.
No, his dad was
And
a
his
janitor.
grandpa,
He didn't want to do it.
Yeah. So, like, Nick had no real knowledge. And it's like, I'm learning it. I'm picking it up.
1992, little over 9,000 cigars. That's the first year. 1997, 5 years. 5 years, they have a facility in Miami. His dad comes out of retirement. They get a bigger facility in Miami. So 1997, you want to take a guess at how many cigars they sold that year?
$500,000?
$1 million.
$1 million.
In 5 years, you went from 9,000 to 1 million cigars.
That's fucking... And that's dope.
And then they're one of the first box press cigars during the 1990s. One of the first companies to do a box pressed.
Really?
Yep.
No way.
Yeah. In the 1990s, during the cigar boom, one of the first box pressed cigars of the period.
I would have thought
It was called the
Padron.
It was called the Perdomo Squared.
No
But
shit.
Padron is more like they have soft box press. I don't know if they maybe have different identifications.
Maybe.
Because maybe like an official like box pressed, not like a soft.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he's approached by Kano Osgener in 1999.
Yeah.
And that turns into a whole fucking thing.
Something I thought was kind of cool and about that story that I wanted to mention with just the cigar community. So like being tight-knit. Perdomo, obviously, he's got family working for him. He keeps them working for him to this day.
Yeah.
The cigar community in the industry as well is very tight-knit. It is a who you know type thing, I'm sure. And it is also involving family. It's always been, a lot of these businesses are family brands, family, handed down to family. But Perdomo's brother-in-law, Michael Argenti,
Yeah.
I just thought this was a cool little tie-in because I remember this brand back in 2015, 2014. There was a company, Berger and Argenti, that was ran by Enrique Berger and Michael Argenti, who's related in a way through marriage to Perdomo.
Yeah.
And today, like Enrique Berger, he passed away in 2014, I believe.
Yeah, and
Something
Karen.
like that. Yeah, and now Karen
is
still running his legacy and everything.
And her cigars are really actually not bad.
I've never smoked one.
I've had like one or two. They're not like mind blowing, but I smoked like one or two because I had read about her story. Not bad cigars, honestly.
Well, man, I should visit her stuff because she's still doing the stuff her husband.
I was just going to say, she's just rolling the story along.
Yep, and back then, man, I really enjoyed some of the Berger and Argenti cigars. One of them, they had some wacky idea where they were putting a tiny cigar inside a fatter cigar, and the little tip was sticking out. You like the fucking tip. It was a weird thing. Huh. I'll show you after this, but I did enjoy a lot of the Berger and Argenti stuff back then.
Yeah.
So I should actually visit the Karen Berger stuff.
And all you CAO fans, anyone that is a big Osgener fan or a CAO fan in general, you can thank Perdomo for saving the company that you love. So when Kano approaches him, it's because he needed a new partner to keep his product in production. Of all the, I'm not going to name off all the different brands that existed in the 90s, but there's a fuck ton of them. For Kano Osgener to go, I've narrowed it all down. Perdomo was the chosen person.
Yeah, he said that he had two cigars that he was letting people smoke blind, and 80% of the people that smoked them said that Perdomo's was where it was at. And at that time, Perdomo was utilizing tobacco from the Perez family.
And
the little story I read on that too was Kano, the factory he was going through was in Costa Rica, which I think Costa Rica's the shit. But Costa Rica was a bit more expensive than to roll like in Nicaragua during that time.
Yeah.
And when he went to Perdomo, Nick was basically the same price, equivalent to the Costa Rican factories, and Kano was like, well, why the fuck are you the same price as these companies? And all these, like Placencia and I forget the other company, they're cheaper than you. And Nick was like, that's what I charge. And he's like, if you want my cheaper stuff, it doesn't do well. And he's like, I know my shit. The higher end stuff I have sells well, and the cheap stuff I do does not. So you have to pay the equivalent price. And I think that part of that pricing was because he was outsourcing tobacco, so he needed to cover whatever his overhead was for outsourcing.
So we're talking, this is 1999, so 2 years after 1997. So he's only 7 years in. And he still, in fairness, he upgraded his facility twice in that time period, whatever, and he was rapidly growing. But at the end of the day, he's still new, and he's still operating in a small business in a big facility.
Yep.
So, yeah, he has to cover his, at the end of the day, he started out at zero. So he has to cover his ass.
Yep.
But because of that partnership, because Kano said, you know what, absolutely, let's fucking do it, he survived. CAO still survives.
Yep.
It was because of that partnership that CAO didn't go under and just shut down.
And CAO was able to sell and make more money.
Yeah. And now, I don't know when this was put in there or written or whatever, he has the second largest facility in Nicaragua. The second largest. So I don't know what the first, it doesn't say anything about the first. I'm assuming Padron is the only thing I could guess. But from 1992 to now, you now have the second largest facility in probably one of the biggest tobacco regions besides the Dominican Republic and Cuba. He's still if you think in the grand scheme of things, he's not an OG. He hasn't been around since the beginning. His parents, his grandfather and dad, had been around in the cigar industry back then. But Perdomo Cigars is from 1992. And yeah, it's, I guess, considered old now to the younger generations, but it's not that old.
It's not that old, no.
And, I mean...
Not when you have motherfuckers from the 60s and shit like that.
That's what I'm saying. So to create the... As much as I don't want to use this word because it'll make his head big, you created this empire... Probably
it's already big.
Yeah, you create this empire in 1992, and you are competing with the big dogs.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. You know, can't shit on that.
No, not at all. That's why, dude. I don't know. The Perdomo's the fucking shit.
There's probably a lot more details or whatever. I kind of spark note quick. I mean, that's the grand scheme of it. Which is, I mean, with me just spark noting it, I'm sure you can find videos and shit of Nick talking about it and going into detail about, you know, his dad's time as a guerrilla fighter and shit like that. There's probably more details. But even just in that short spark note scenario, it's impressive as fuck. I honestly think whenever this is like the fucking third, fourth time I fucking read his entire origin story, and every time I fucking read it, I'm like, God, I should probably give Perdomo another chance. And then I smoke one, and I'm like, So
no, it's fucking hilarious, man. Because like, again, there's shit I hear that makes me not like Nick Perdomo. But when I look more into Nick Perdomo, his company, what he's done, I'm like all giddy to try Perdomo again. And then I try the Perdomo, and I'm like, fuck, man, it's just not...
Here's another thing. Is like, so you see two different, like, sides of him. Because, like, at PCA, he sits there and plays the fucking drums and shit, and he has a goddamn blast, and he's, like, the fucking life of the fucking party. Then you see, like, you hear my story, or I've heard other stories, and you've told me one about a customer that he had a real, like, fucking heart-to-heart with him during the tour. So it's like you hear all these positives and you see these positives, and then you have some people that have negative experiences, and I've only had one with him, and it was just because it was a first impression that it is so, like, burned into my memory. You know damn well, for, like, friends, like, if you befriend Nick Perdomo, I guarantee you he's a completely different fucking human being. So part of me is like, man, I'd love to fucking have a drink with the dude, or I'd love to fucking talk to him and hear his story, like, from his mouth, not from other people's fucking interpretations.
The way they've met him, yeah.
So it's like, I'm one of those people, yeah, first impressions are huge, and I fucking have a very large, you know, judgment and opinion on who you are based on first impressions. And I expect the same from me. But I'm not completely opposed to giving you another shot. Like, if I ever meet him again and he's a complete fucking saint, I'm willing to go, oh, okay, you just had a bad day.
Yeah.
But I haven't had that opportunity yet. So if we want to have him on and have a reconciliation. No, I'm joking.
That guy, he'd never give us a fucking time of day.
Oh, fuck no. He'd listen to this podcast and be like, nah, you peasants.
Yep. Who the fuck are you
Who
guys?
the fuck are you guys? If anything, he'll fucking sue us. For slander.
Bring it, baby.
Bring it, baby. We got that Los Jerkos money.
We got that John V money.
John V money. We're going to have to request more money from John V to get a lawyer. But
yeah,
it's, I mean, I don't know. He's just...
The guy's dope as fuck, man. I can't hate on all he's done. I can only hate on things that I've heard that's hearsay, you know, or from
other people.
But everything I read about him is fucking dope, man. His cigars, they're not my speed. But like how I shit on Gurkha, I don't want to shit on Perdomo like that. Because there are so many people that enjoy the fuck out of Perdomo. I don't know what it is you guys get out of him. Well, but everybody's different.
I was going to bring this up earlier, and we got into the history of it or whatever. When you were talking about how you sell Perdomo, and you have to kind of like tiptoe around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to fucking lie. I can't do that. I wish I had the composure and the ability to just filter the things that come out of my mouth. I just don't. And I've already been told that it is a terrible way of sells and it is a terrible way of marketing something. But if someone asks me about Perdomo, I'm one of the few people that can sell a Perdomo cigar, starting the conversation with, well, he's not really my jam, but... So, like, I can tell someone, I can look them in the face and go, it's not my profile. I don't like his cigars. I've smoked every single one of them. And in fairness, my opinion has changed because I do like the Connecticut versions of everything. The Maduros and Sungrown still miss a little bit, but I like the Connecticut's. If someone gives me one, I'm going to definitely smoke it.
What was the one I liked? That I was like...
The ESV that they discontinued.
Was it?
Yeah, that one was phenomenal. So actually, I take it back. There was one in the lineup for that event that I actually really liked, and it was the ESV line. And the Sun-Grown Maduro and the Connecticut were all good. They were aged a lot longer. They were box pressed, and they discontinued them because of they didn't have enough. I believe it was they didn't have enough tobacco to fulfill that product anymore.
Oh well, that sucks.
And it was. I do like some of his stuff now. Now that I've kind of distanced myself from them and came back to them, I've noticed that there are some that I can sit and enjoy. It's not something I'm going to actively fucking go for all the time. But every now and then, if you're looking for something in that $10, $11, $12 range, I'll grab one. But I'll tell a customer, it's not my thing. But then I tell them I have tons of fucking respect for the dude. And I also have to admit, of all the cigar companies that I have smoked, credit where credit's due, I haven't gotten a Perdomo that has given me any burn issues. I always am recorrecting my burn. That's just how I am.
I haven't needed to correct this at all, and I mean it's burned flawlessly this entire fucking time. The draw is great.
Never have draw issues.
Something else I dig too is the guy uses a fucking draw tester for his employees, but I like the setting. Whatever they're deciding to set it at. Yeah. This is a good draw. Their consideration of a good draw is a good draw.
Yeah. And I mean, so if you have to use the extra tools to make sure that you're consistent, I'm all for it. I'm German. I like a little structure.
Yeah.
I recently smoked a Davidoff that looked like a Gurkha. Big old vein on it. The ash would not hold. It was like blooming like a flower. And like falling apart. And I even showed it. I showed it to John, and I was like, "You want to take a guess at what this is?" He goes, "I don't know. It looks rough as shit." I was like, "Want to take a guess?" He goes, "Nah." I go, that's a late hour, and it was bad.
Wow.
To give credit where credit's due, this is one of the few companies that I can pick up a cigar. I don't have to do all the stupid shit people do where they're like squeezing it and they're fucking diddly fucking around, looking at the wrapper, making sure it's flawless. I've never, and I will fucking, you can put me on record for that, never ever had a problem with the construction of a Perdomo cigar.
Never.
It's just, the flavors aren't my thing. They're just,
same.
They don't pop enough. I like poppy flavors.
Me too. As I'm getting down closer to the end of this champagne, it's a decent smoke, dude. There's so many more Connecticut's that I'm going to go for before I go to this. But somebody hands this to me, wants me to smoke it with them. Hey, you enjoy Perdomo. You want me to take part in enjoying Perdomo with you? I'll fucking do it. Yeah. I'll smoke that bitch. Not going to be super happy about it, but I'll smoke the bitch. It's, I got a homeboy that likes Gurkha a lot, and I made it a thing. Please sponsor us. I made it a thing to smoke a Gurkha with him when I get with him. And after about 2-3 years of doing that, I was meeting up with him once a year. So 3 times of doing it with him, I was like, no more, bro.
Can't do it.
I ain't smoking these fucking Gurkhas no more. When there's so many other things at this event,
I'd rather smoke a Perdomo.
I'd rather smoke a fucking Perdomo. I'd rather smoke a Perdomo. One of the homeboys at we do the Adam stock stuff I brought up before. It's kind of funny. He brought a box of Perdomo, and I don't know if somebody said something to him or something, but seemed like kind of like, man, I didn't know, that Perdomo's not like a big thing. He seemed like he was a little upset that he didn't, he in his mind maybe not school it, but the Perdomos he brought, everybody enjoyed. It's a fucking solid smoke. I actually took, so he brought a box for people to just grab out of. I took a couple just to take with me because it was a decent fucking smoke, man. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, well, and here's another thing is even you as not a fan or me as not a fan, I've never heard anyone just flat out say, I don't like Perdomo.
Yeah.
I've never heard it's always, if it's not their flavor profile or if it's not their jam, that's how they'll word it. It's an okay cigar.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone just completely go, nah, I fucking hate, I don't like Perdomo.
Yeah, I can't say Perdomo sucks.
Yeah.
I can't say that.
No, not at all. And so it's one of those brands that even if you don't like it, you can still go, it's decent. It's not one that like I'm gonna pick up, but like I can see how someone could like it.
Yeah, I could see people liking it.
And I'm not gonna lie, after bringing up that hypothetical, I'm actually kind of curious as to what aged Perdomos taste like.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should pick a Perdomo and let it ride.
Yeah. Or,
And
I mean, if any of
if
you...
we're still doing these episodes 6 years down the road from now, we fucking smoke them.
If anyone has, like, they just have so much stock that they don't know what they have, and you come across, like, an aged Perdomo, and you don't want it,
Send
it our way.
Send it. We'll smoke it.
I'm curious. Because, once I brought that up to you, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, the flavor, the potential that is there, the flavors aren't bad. They're just really muted.
It needs to be a Perdomo, so, like, because I'm pretty sure the ones from 2006 were still maybe outsourced tobacco. I don't know. I'd have to look into that. But it has to be tobacco that is utilized from Perdomo's farms.
Yeah, I think that would be legit to nice little experiment. But yeah, I mean, other than my bad experience, I have no complaints over it. The story is legit. That's why we wanted to do this first one. Is honestly, of all the stories I read, all of them grind. In order to have a cigar brand, you have to fucking put in the work.
But Perdomo's is one of those where it's just inspiring, man. If you're trying to start a company of your own or something, and you want some motivation, read about Nick Perdomo, man. It'll invigorate you. His story will invigorate you. It'll make you feel like, yo, I need to go fucking hustle, because he's a fucking hustler. The man 100%. Can fucking hustle, and his family members can hustle.
And these deep dives we want to do more of, whether they're, I mean, I understand that they're not like as funny, but they are interesting. We can't always be funny, folks. Like these jokes, we gotta span them out. We can't just fucking.
They can't all be knee slappers, bro.
Yeah, we can't give it all to you, baby.
So we've had the niceties now. So there you go. Any Perdomo fanboys listening to this, we've had some niceties. Now let's get into some things we've heard where it has soured our opinion of Perdomo. And I'll start with one, unless you want to kick it off.
Oh no, I did mine.
You did? Okay, so here's something I heard. And now again, a lot of this type of shit's gonna be hearsay. Can't know if it's true or not. But I do have some evidence for some of these things. So like my first one is I've heard that from a buddy of mine that rolls his own cigars and was trying to sell cigars, that he didn't like Perdomo. He appreciated Perdomo's brand, but he stopped liking Perdomo because he heard that Nick Perdomo at the factory, if somebody doesn't roll the cigar properly, and it's got to be unfurled and done again, that he will take money out of their pay for that cigar being messed up. Which is pretty whack, man. I mean, that's, people put that into cost typically knowing that you got to train. And you're going to have mistakes from people that are new or people that need to be trained or people that just are having off days. And from what I was told is that Nick takes the money out of their check. And so as I was doing research for Nick Perdomo, 2024, he did an interview with, I think the guy's name is Maz or something, from Halls. Mm-hmm. And in the video, he mentions the draw tester, and he mentions that if a cigar is not rolled properly and it didn't pass the draw test, that he takes it apart, and he says, I don't do this just as punishment.
Just as punishment.
And he makes them re-roll it and everything like that.
Takes it apart and he shows them where they did it wrong.
Deciding to use the phrasing of I don't do this just as punishment is just... So it's like a admission that you punish employees, which I get that you do need to have... It's business. You do need to have reconciliation. Yeah. But for words like punish... that's something you do to a mischievous child. You know what I'm saying? Punish your kid to correct something. You don't punish grown ass adults that work for you.
Not to play devil's advocate, but I'm gonna just humor you for a second here. So he was in the Navy. Obviously, we just gave him his laurels on construction, and he has that reputation of really well constructed cigars. Mm-hmm. And he's from the Navy, so he comes from a very structured and very you do it right or it's wrong. There is a part of me, if I put myself in his shoes, that I can maybe understand that. And the only reason is because I don't know about the word punishment is where it kind of gets a little touchy because
no, you're starting to change my thought process about it.
So it's
because in the Navy or something like that, Marine Corps, you're going to get punished for error, and punishment will help correct errors in the future.
Yeah, and so the scenario is there is a part of me that is sitting here going, yeah, that's kind of shitty that he docks pay or whatever, but at the end of the day, that's how jobs work. Not
in the United States. So that's the thing where it's man, that's fucked. Because, and I've had to look at this law because when I was doing contracting, I've had a few shithead employees that would lose $400, $500 equipment of mine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I want to dock your fucking pay.
I see.
And then when I go to look up the fucking law, I can't. The best I can do is fire that.
You have to take account of loss with businesses, and I understand that aspect. But part of me is also, and it may just be how I think is, if you don't do your job the right way, there has to be repercussions. And I know that sucks because you could have an off day, you could have a this day, you could have a that day, whatever. But if I mess something up multiple times when I'm working in a restaurant, I get sent home. That's how it is. Mm-hmm. Which is, it's not docking your pay, but it is docking your pay because they're sending you home. You're not getting paid for the rest of your shift. Yeah. So there's...
Well, no. Technically, no, because you're not working then. They send you home, you're not working. Where if you continue to work, but now you're working to make up for something...
That's fair.
That's
it's
a
weird
old
line.
Well, yeah, that's old school fucking. What's the other thing? It's not slavery, but it was indentured servitude.
Indentured servitude.
Yeah, that was the way people used to pay off debts. It's a very old school way of paying back debts and shit like that.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Nick Perdomo's not in the wrong. I'm not a proponent of this. I don't agree with docking pay. I don't
agree with docking pay at all.
I wanted to play devil's advocate.
Yeah. Send the guy home. Don't make him work for free.
Yeah,
just send him home.
You're having a rough day. Go fucking home.
That's to me. That's an appropriate punishment.
Yeah,
go fucking home. I'm not paying you for this shit.
I'm not a proponent for it. I just wanted to play devil's advocate for a sec because I was getting into his head. I can imagine he has a very skewed way of or meticulous.
Yeah,
like,
and
way of
he
doing
mentions
things.
that in some interviews I watched, that he grinds for perfection. And I get some of the means that you go about this, you will achieve perfection.
It may be shady, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's like Davidoff, granted you've mentioned that the late hour has had burn issues, but over the most part, Davidoff's thing is a more positive view of, well, we don't let rollers that are new to the game touch our shit.
Yeah.
You have to have 10 years experience in order to roll for us.
In fairness, that was the only Davidoff I've ever had an issue with, but it was just mind-boggling.
I mainly have issues with the fucking late hour. And I love the late hour, but the fucking late hour, it can be hit or miss.
Yeah.
I've had shitty fucking late hours, and I've had very good late hours.
That's why I like the white label.
Me too. I've never had an issue with the white label.
But, I mean...
And I like the flavor profile on the white better.
Yeah. I'm not I just wanted to play devil's advocate. I think there's parts of it that I can understand and parts of it that I'm like, nah, it's still not right. Regardless of how you rationalize it, it's still like a weird practice.
Yeah.
But it does track with things I've heard, like with him tracking his reps, like and not to a lot of cigar reps that travel, they get in some manner tracked. I've heard of reps having to send a text or an email saying, hey, I'm at this location. I'll probably be here an hour, and then I'm going to go to this location. I've had people who are like, they don't get tracked like on the hour. It's you send an email at the end of the day, hey, I went to these places, I traveled here, I used this much gas. But like in Perdomo's case, I've heard of like physically tracking, like location tracking, watching on a map, and someone takes a little detour, they have to stop to go get some food or eat or whatever, and they'll get a phone call saying, hey, you're supposed to be here, what are you doing? And like,
yeah, up your ass like crazy.
Yeah, like very structured,
way
which
less
checks
freedom
with what we're talking about, like his structure, his really meticulous, like everything has to be perfect.
Yeah, that can be annoying to the person doing it, but there's benefits to the consumer for that type of shit as well. And at the end of the day, again, this is why I like Perdomo, because it is an emphasis on the consumer.
And there's benefits to him as a company. I mean, at the end of the day, he's squeezing every bit of time that he can get to produce his product, to distribute his product. If something falters, I mean, the guy didn't grow from 1992 to 1997 not being meticulous and fucking on point with everything.
And even to this day, the fucking guy, he utilizes technology, which, from listening to him, he's done for his whole career. So any type of technological advancement there could be used in with what he does, he gets it and does it. And he said, like, yeah, it may be expensive, but I don't look at what I'm getting right now. I look at what am I going to get over time, the span of several years.
Yeah.
And so that's very smart. He's a smart motherfucker.
And it's not my jam. Like, so I want to be a cigar rep. I probably have thrown all those opportunities away by doing this podcast.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. But I wanted to be a cigar rep, and I had the opportunity to apply for Perdomo. But after hearing like those stories, I take a lot of pride being able to be trusted. You hired me because you think I can do the job, or you believe I can do the job. So you either put full trust in me, and I'll report to you via text message, via email, whatever. But if it gets to a point where you have to sneakily track what I'm doing, that doesn't vibe with me, because you've already made it blatantly apparent that you don't fucking trust me at all. And I have this issue with certain aspects of my job now at the cigar lounge. I've had it at restaurants, whatever. If you've hired me, and you've hired me in a position where I'm responsible of something, fucking give me benefit of the doubt until I fuck up. And then you can go, nah, well, you did do this wrong. Now I got to do this.
Yep.
And it's just it's still skeevy. There's little skeevy things that get done. Yes, there's a motive to it. Yes, it's meticulous and he likes his perfection and whatever. But like, I'm not a perfectionist. I'm very much I like finding the positives in the not perfection. When we did this, the podcast, the very first episode of the podcast, I'm like, God, shit, that was fucking rough. Mm-hmm. But like in my head, the very first episode is literally fucking vaulting point. That's the point where I'm like, I want people to listen to this episode, no matter how shitty it is. Listen to that first episode, and then listen to what we're doing now, and tell me you don't see the journey in that.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's cool as shit. I would much rather deal with the flaws and deal with the things as they come. Perfection's never going to be achieved. It'll get close, but even in his case, Perdomo's case, perfection will not ever be achieved. You have perfect construction, absolutely. Your flavors are muted. You will never completely have perfection. There's no fucking way. It's just not how it works. The only other thing I can think of is the shit talking of other brands. And I know certain brands do it. You and I both love a good shit talk.
Yeah. No, but we got this from an older article too. Does he really still do that? I haven't really seen it much in...
When people go on his tours, I love good shit talk. But here's the thing. There's good spirited shit talk. And there's the opposite where you're just shit talking to make yourself look better. Mm-hmm. And that's what he's doing. You and I love good shit talk. Here's the thing is there's not a single fucking thing that I would not say to a human being that I would shit talk about them behind their back or shit talk about them. You know what I mean?
Where's his tours take place at?
Nicaragua. Yeah. So I'm good for shit talk, but there's a sporty way of doing it, and then there's just a malicious douchebaggy way of doing it. Mm-hmm. We like to tread that fine line. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not a douchebag.
I tell you what, though, I would like for us to get more clout in the cigar world and be noticed by people in the industry. I'd love to actually do something where I ask other people in the industry, give me a straight opinion on Nick Perdomo. Give me your opinion on the guy. Something that I think that people may have an opinion on is what he thinks good tobacco is.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because, I hear him talk about, like, soil content and everything and location, and he talks about it as if he's cracked the code and knows exactly where to grow and what's going to produce the best, etc. And I don't taste that in his cigars. It doesn't translate to me, and I'd imagine other people in the industry are like, here's where this guy's a fucking puto and he's full of shit, you know?
Jeez, he's been learning Spanish on Duolingo.
No, I knew this word from when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, you were raised on the streets,
up in a fucking Mexican
I forgot about that. Hell yeah. Yeah, that was your nickname, wasn't it?
Yeah, Puto.
Until he killed that guy. That's how he got his street cred.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that article we read, how do you start a fucking interview by handing someone your cigar and go, oh, when you're done with that, smoke a real cigar? It's just...
Well, yeah, that somebody was smoking somebody else's cigar, and he's like...
And it's...
Yeah, smoke a real cigar.
It's like I said, we love shit talk, but there's a point where it's just kind of like...
Unwarranted.
I
like the bragging, but it's got to be warranted, man.
Yeah.
Humble yourself a little bit. Again, the entire story of Nick Perdomo is dope as fuck. I think the dude is dope as fuck. Yeah. Honestly, I think Nick Perdomo's a dope motherfucker. But just he needs to be a little more humble, man.
Like if you're on, we're at your tour, we're in your facilities, your tour, and you spend a decent amount of time not talking about your product, but shitting on everyone else's product to make your product look well, that's not shit talking. That's you covering your fucking ass or trying to make your product look better. So, like, if you have to shit talk to make yourself feel better and look better, that's where I have a problem with shit talk. all the shit talk that we do on here, I'm not doing it because it makes me feel good. I don't fucking care. It's my genuine opinion. It's how I feel.
Yeah.
And I'll tell it to you, too. I told the fucking San Parai guy about
yeah, but there's never, like, our shit talk, there's never a time where our shit talk is just basically trying to make ourselves look better, though.
No, not at all. We have,
you know what I'm saying?
Like, a lot of self-deprecating humor in here.
Yeah. And I'm not, dude, I'm not, I got a lot of flaws, bro. Yeah. And I don't know as much as I think I could.
Fuck no.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
why I like the blind taste test. It makes us look like fucking idiots.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. You're supposed to feel that way.
Right.
I don't shy away from telling people shit. Like the...
Look at it fucking burn, though, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
all the way down.
That's an immaculate burn.
It's almost nubbied.
Yep.
But like the Sans Pride guy...
Starting to taste like shit.
With the fucking gold, me telling him...
Aaron Sade, that's his name.
Sade, not Saad. Sade. It wasn't... It was one of the other owners. It wasn't Aaron Sade that I was talking to. The one that came to the lounge.
David?
David, yeah. But I told him, I was like, man, San Pride Gold, it's good. I don't know why it's $77. You blindfold me, I couldn't tell you the difference. They're all great cigars, but I'm not going to sit here and fucking suck your dick over it. It's $77.
Yep.
Like, so I don't shy away from shit, but I'm also not going to shit talk something to make myself feel fucking worthy or competent or whatever. Like, I don't give a shit. I'll make fun of myself before I make fun of someone else like that. I'm all for the shit talk, but I've heard so many stories about those tours from multiple people where it's like, oh, he spends a lot of time shitting on Davidoff or alluding to things that Davidoff does that he thinks he does better, or other companies do this, but I do it my way.
Let's see if we could. Let's actually try at some point to get Nick Perdomo on. Let's actually try.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm good.
I would no. I'd like to talk with that guy and see the kind of stuff he says.
God, I already hated doing this episode. I don't know if I want him live.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna reach out to him.
You asshole. Nate and Nick Perdomo are going to do their own episode while I go do something fun.
I just want to dig into that kind of shit. Like, this is what I've heard. Can you speak to this? This is what I heard. Can you speak to this?
There's other dudes that I wouldn't mind having on live. Like, it's the peasant royalty kind of vibe that I get.
Dude would never give me the time.
No, like, I want like a Steve Saka, like a good fucking hang, like a dude that's just gonna sit down. He's gonna shoot the shit with us. I'm not
be funny.
Yeah, if we're gonna have fucking guests on here, I want them to be good hangs. I don't want to sit here and walk on fucking eggshells. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what I think.
I'm not going to do that with Perdomo, though. If I had Nick on, I'd be straight up. Like, man, this is, I'll tell him straight up what I think of his product.
Yeah, it'd be a very short episode. If you guys are looking for 5 to 10 minute clips, that's the fucking move right there.
I'm sure he would tell me not to release it,
He'd either tell you not to release it or he'd get up and fucking leave.
Could I write an article at least and let your team review it?
Nah, fuck that. That's censorship bullshit. You don't fucking review my shit. Eat a dick.
No, you
I don't
review
work
it.
For you.
Then if if there's things that don't meet my standard at all, because I can get like, okay, you don't want something said. I'm okay with that kind of shit. You know what I mean? The guy's meticulous. He's got a brand. He's trying to keep it.
Then be better.
Copacetic. Yeah, be better.
Period.
That's not so. Man, I thought we'd talk way more shit in this episode, but we really didn't talk that much shit.
No, well, and that goes into what we were talking about. Like, you hear the story and you're like, man, I've been shitting on this, and now I'm like inspired, and I'm like, fuck.
As you're talking about it, yeah, man, it's inspiring. That's what I'm saying, though. If I had him on, I'd be willing to fucking like. There's a lot of good factors here for Perdomo. A lot of good things. There's things that I'd like to maybe try to get clarification on. What's the real assessment? Because I'd straight ask, have you smoked a Davidoff, bro? Well, have you fucking smoked one? Have you smoked one recently?
Here's another issue, though, is the information you're going to receive is biased. He's not going to give you the stuff that... You're not going to get clarity. You're going to get the second side of the story.
No, I think I'm going to get... I think I'll get clarity by certain phrases and comments made, like the punishment comment. I think he'll expose himself without thinking he's exposing himself.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's worth the wasted time.
Yeah, fuck it, you're right.
But yeah, I mean, like, so I'm at the end of this cigar. Is it okay? Yeah. And honestly, to all of you,
real bitter.
Oh yeah, it'll get bitter towards the end here. I'm getting there. Try a fucking Perdomo. You never know. Maybe you'll like it. But like, also, I think like the moral of the fucking story is, be fucking humble. You got a dope ass thing going on here. You got a dope fucking brand. You have all your fucking ducks in a row. You have great construction. The flavor profile, it caters to the people that it caters to. It's not our jam. It could be more flavorful, but it caters to the people that it caters to. You got a dope brand. Just fucking, like, realize that you have all this and you came from zero and you came from all this, and just kind of be fucking humble about it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a dickhead. It's completely okay. We all sat here and fucking gave you all your goddamn laurels. Yeah, we shit on some things. Yeah, we fucking judged some things. But we gave you a fuck ton of fucking laurels. Yeah. We shit on fucking Gurkha. Please sponsor us. Mm-hmm. Every goddamn episode almost.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any laurels to give Gurkha. I want them to sponsor us, but I don't have any fucking laurels. They haven't done anything to change my mind. You have
hold on. In all honesty, I don't think either one of us has actually ever read the backstory of Gurkha. Looked into, we've heard a lot of hearsay, and we also have smoked those stuff. There's stuff we've smoked that we like.
Next season, Gurkha deep dive.
Gurkha deep dive next season.
If we do Gurkha deep, unless any of you want to pitch a better fucking suggestion, next season we're gonna do a Gurkha deep dive.
Tell you what, I'm gonna put a poll on this episode of companies on the Spotify, and if you're peeping this on YouTube, leave a comment. Let us know in the comments. But I'll put a poll on our Spotify of companies that we can do another deep dive into, and you guys get to pick what company, and we'll let that poll run until the end of this season, which I believe the end of this season is June 28th. So
yeah. I mean, we can let it run. I mean, usually these deep dives are towards like the middle or the end of the season. We could probably let it run most of next season too.
And I'll also leave an option on there to never do a deep dive again.
That is also an option. So here's the thing, is when we decided to do this, we realized that first season, we realized we did a lot of droning and a lot of information, and everyone's like, man, we really like the super funny dumb episodes, and the informative ones not so much. We're like, okay, but this season we've done a fuck ton of humorous episodes with some information, but more humorous episodes, and we're like, we got a lot of real funny episodes, but we do still want to provide.
Trying to necessarily do it on purpose, though. I just think that it's whatever topics there are, they invoke that. You know what I'm saying?
It's our choice in topics. So first season, our entire choices for episodes, they were all choices made with the intent of providing you with information. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Whereas this season, all of our episode topics were very broad stroked and very like the topics were picked so that they had a lot of shit to talk about, a lot of funny shit to talk about. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
Whereas we decided this season we want to do like something informative and not just be the fucking funny, pointless, bullshitting episodes.
Right. And I enjoy informative stuff, man. I do like to listen to some more informative stuff, but I like to fucking laugh too.
Yeah. I mean, you and I know, because we've been recording, all of the rest of these episodes are going to be really fucking funny, and
maybe. We'll see. I mean, that's subjective.
God. Yeah. You're a fucking Debbie Downer, dog. That Perdomo's got him down, guys.
Tell you what, guys. Don't forget to fuck yourself.
Peace.
Peace.
Well now, I noticed the boys. Left the window unlocked. Big mistake. Huge. I climbed in like a raccoon, looking for snacks and to bum a smoke. Thought I'd catch 'em in the act of recording. Maybe drop some truth bombs mid-show. But the studio's empty. Mic's cold. Ashtrays abandoned. Now that I've got the floor, let me do the boys a favor since they were dumb enough to leave the damn studio wide open like a gas station with no clerk. Cha-ching. Listen, CAO wasn't saved by Perdomo. Not the whole damn company. What Perdomo did do was manufacture one line, the CAO El Anniversaire series, back when CAO was tripping over its own dick trying to get some shit together. Good series. Tasty smokes. But Perdomo didn't come riding in on a tobacco leaf like some Nicaraguan genie ready to grant Kano Osgener 3 wishes. Get the facts straight, boys. You can even Google it. Hell, I did. And I'm the one about to be hiding behind coats and cigar boxes. Still, I'll give you this. Y'all tried. You lit the match, puffed the puff, and fumbled your way through one of the most methodical, hard-working brands in the game. That's the Los Jerkos promise. Talk cigars, mess up some details, and still sound good doing it. So here I am. In the damn closet. Not metaphorically. Literally sitting on a milk crate next to a box labeled Ashtray Graveyard. There's a spider in the corner watching me puff like I owe him rent. But I ain't leaving. No, sir. I'm setting up base camp right here until they fire up the mics again. You ever hotbox a closet with a Connecticut shade and questionable life decisions? Welcome to the Clyde Burns experience, baby. Go follow the boys at Los Jerkos on Facebook and Los Jerkos Podcast on Instagram. And yeah, we're on TikTok now. That's right. Tick-fucking-talk. The place where brain cells go to die. And if you're feeling generous, toss the boys a few bucks. Hit up losjerkos.com and smack that donation link like it's your bitch. Keep the humidor stocked, the mics hot, and maybe, just maybe, help pay for better security so some cigar-addled lunatic like me doesn't crawl through the damn window again. But hey, no promises. Till next time, you filthy animals, stay smoky and stay fact-checked.